Welcome, everyone. Thursday evening. I'm happy to see you. I hope you've had a good week and a good start to the week. Thursdays are always a nice time to sit down because you've had, well, depending on what week you've had. If you've been working, then you had the whole week that you got started, and it's still not over, but you have like passed most of it. So it's kind of time to sit down and just have some nice meditation. So that's always nice. I actually made a mistake. I realized I was sitting down and I had forgotten to turn on the stream, so I did actually start the stream and start talking without being live. Let me just see. Yes, I am live now. So hopefully you can see me now and I'm not just talking to myself, but that's the kind of things that happen. Let's see who's here. I'm still home with a cold. Everyone in the family has a cold now. It's just those kind of things that go around. And it's so interesting to see when you have a cold how it's so easy to get into the, oh, poor me, it's so difficult and everything's so sad. And like you just can't do anything because you can feel how your energy is lower. But then if you just start, hey, Nicole, nice to see you. If you just start doing stuff, really having a cold just means that everything feels different. It is more difficult. Hey, Catherine. Nice to see you as well. And like I said, I accidentally started the stream without starting the stream. So I started talking, but I wasn't going live. And it gives you an opportunity when you're sick. I always enjoyed when I've been sick than when you're getting well again, because then you really see the contrast after having just felt like, oh, everything's so tough and it's like you can barely breathe and you keep coughing at night, and then like, whoa, my body feels back to normal again, and you really start appreciating it. When you're healthy, it's so easy to take for granted that you have a body that's working, and those who don't have a body that's working, then everything they want is a body that's working. It's one of those things they say when you're healthy you want many things, but when you're sick then you only want one thing, and that really is true. Because when you don't function, your body doesn't function, that kind of supersedes everything. Then the only thing you want to do is get healthy. Obviously, when it's like small stuff that I'm going through, it's nothing, but there are worse diseases. I appreciate health more again. My headache and vomiting left. Oh, nice. Happy to hear that. You had vomiting disease last time. That sucks. Did it last for a long time or did it go over rather quickly? I say that often about our children. Sometimes, if you have kids, you know that sometimes it's really tough with kids. But then I always say, well, they're healthy, they're functioning, they're annoying, sometimes really annoying, but they're just normally annoying. 5 days? What the heck? That's a pretty severe vomiting and headache. That doesn't sound like a normal stomach flu. Wow, that's bad. Wow, yeah. Happy to hear that it got better, because that's a long time to be sick with that. I've had some really nice discussions also with my fiancée since we've been home. Only one day. Okay, well, that's nice. We've been discussing a lot because she has a different. For her, it's different when she's sick. She takes it much harder. She's often not sick, so for her, when she gets sick, she feels it more. But we were discussing about the whole, I mean, if you come here, you know that I talk about how it's all about enjoying your life. And there is more depth to that than just, oh, it's just supposed to be fun. And people will say, well, life isn't always fun and stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Like, some things are difficult. But there is a reason, and that I focus so much on the enjoyment of being alive. I'm not saying enjoying your life story or what's actually happening. Hey, Stephen, nice to see you. By the way, let me just see, because Stephen is here. We will have, let me just check. I think we will have the group coaching this weekend. I can't see how do I see my calendar? October. Yes, I think very likely the group coaching will be this Sunday, and I might have to do it a little bit earlier, but around 3 p.m. Sunday. It might be 2:45 because Marilyn goes away if she's well again. She's quite sick now. So we'll see how it goes. So check the Discord, and I'll post a message probably tomorrow and decide if we're going to have it on Sunday or not, because that's pretty much the last Sunday we have this month. So anyway, I was talking about how I focus so much on enjoying and appreciating being alive. And it's not just because it's just supposed to be fun or something. There is a really important reason for this that sometimes it's difficult for me to get across, and it's just so obvious to me, but so I don't even mention it. But if you think about this, what we're trying to do is to enjoy life. And when we say life, I don't mean as in, oh, you're alive, you're here on the planet, you're going to be here for X amount of years, and you get the chance to create a family. Like, that's your life story. That's something else. That's the life, story that you tell, or timeline of your life. I'm talking about right now, just right now. Oh, I think I have chicken poop on my sock. That would be the life story. So that's the life story that we're going through. That's one thing, but life only happens now. It never happens outside of just right now. And now is one of those concepts that have been completely overused, and people say it's so I'm like, yeah, I practice the power now. I'm here. I'm present. I focus on being here, like I'm in this room and I'm breathing. No, you're not really seeing how deep you need to go into the now to really be in the now. And one of the things that many people don't realize is that you cannot be here and now unless you're enjoying yourself. If you're doing anything other than enjoying being here, you're not here, because it's impossible. And I'll explain why. Because for you to do, and when I say enjoy, I don't mean, oh, I'm having all these cool things around me, it's such a, I'm here or there. Like, no, I mean what your distortion is saying right now, your feeling, your mood, what mood you're in. You cannot be in a bad mood and be present. It doesn't work. You can be kind of here and in a bad mood, but you cannot be here and in a bad mood. And I'll tell you why. Because to be able to feel bad or have a bad mood, you need to push against something in the past or in the future. You have to push one of these, actually in the past or in the future. You have to push one of these ways. Otherwise, it is impossible to have a bad mood, because right now, there is nothing to resist. Everything just is. Yes, I am sitting here. I have a cold. It hurts. It's annoying. Sure. That could also be, oh, I'm sitting here. I will be dying in an hour from now because my body is giving up and I'm about to die from disease or age or whatever. And that's obviously not as easy to sit here and say, oh, I'm going to enjoy just being here. But it is fundamentally the same thing. If you don't think about what's going to happen later or what happened in the past, it's just now. So if you're feeling bad about something, say I know that, I have some serious disease and I know that I will die within the next few days. If I feel bad, what I'm doing is I'm thinking about that future when I'm going to die. Otherwise, I'm not fully here. And I'm pushing against that. I'm resisting that. I'm creating this distortion against that, which is absolutely normal. That there's nothing wrong with this. Don't go around and think like, oh, I shouldn't be doing this. I'm doing something wrong. Like, no. I'm not saying start blaming yourself or start putting unrealistic expectations on yourself like that you cannot live up to. All I'm saying is, if you are having anything other than a good mood, you are resisting being here. And that is difficult for us to do, because the self comes in and says, well, I cannot be in a good mood because look at what's happening to me. Look where I'm going. And if you really want to pull that far, there would be people who sit here and say like, well, I'm 47. Average age for men in Sweden is, I have no idea, but let's say it's 78 years or 80 or 85. I actually don't know. Let's say 78 years sounds like a good age. 77. That means I have 30 years left to live. I could be sitting here thinking, oh my goodness, I'm 47. I have lived more than half of my life. I am going to die. And I could start feeling bad about that now. And most people say, well, that's silly. Don't feel bad about that now. There's so much time left. Yeah, but I could. And there would be nothing wrong with that. That's my choice how I want to do. You could say the same thing about someone who knows, oh, I have 4 years left to live, 3 years left to live. someone who has 3 days to live, 3 hours. It's the same thing. It's just a matter of how close are you able to be in a good mood when this is going to happen. More sick people in here, I read. Hey, my friend Mama, nice to see you. So it's just a matter of where do you put your perspective on how far away you say, okay, here I don't have to push because I have 30 years left to live. 3 years? Well, now it's starting to like, if I would have 3 years to live because I had some rare blood disease or something, then yes, that would be difficult. And I would have a problem dealing with that for sure. I'm not saying like that's not going to be an issue for me. What I'm saying is when I be doing that, I would be resisting being here. Because if I'm in a bad mood, there is something outside of now that I'm pushing towards. It could be something that happened yesterday. It could be that yesterday someone said something to me that really hurt me. It could be that something happened 3 weeks from now, ago, 3 years ago, 30 years ago. There are people who still go around and feel like they're in a bad mood because of something that happened 30 years ago, 40, 50 years ago. And you say, wow, that's just silly. Yeah, but they are doing that. And it's not for us to say it's good or bad. All I am saying is that if you are anything other than in a good mood, you are not here. You're living in a kind of like a trance where you're not fully experiencing what it's like to just be here, because you're not experiencing now. You're experiencing this kind of foggy feeling. And this is really what it feels like when you start experiencing non-centricness and just being here. It's almost like it's foggy and it's like, oh, I can't focus here because I'm being pulled in the future and into the past by all these things that I agree with, disagree with, whatever it is. And then you start collapsing into just being, and then like, oh, everything's so clear. And they call it Satori, or what do they call those moments where like being in the flow, kind of where you're not pushing, you're just doing. It's just doing stuff. And then the self comes and says, well, I want to have a feeling towards what I'm doing. I want to be able to enjoy it and feel, oh, this is nice. I'm moving towards this thing here. Or I want to be able to feel like, oh, I hate being here. I'm going to push myself by going there. So I'm going to make myself feel bad enough. That's like really personal development. I'm going to make myself feel bad enough about this, so I push myself over there. And that works. Absolutely. But you're making yourself not enjoy your life to get to somewhere in the future, which is not being here. Are you following me? What I'm saying here? Because it's so obvious to me, but it's not really that easy to explain, because I can understand how when I talk about these things, it might seem like, well, I can't do that. And again, I'm really trying to make sure you understand that I'm not saying feel bad that you cannot do this, or you're a bad person, you're bad at practicing meditation, or you're failing somehow. I'm just saying what happens when we're in a bad mood. When you have that knowledge, you can choose what to do with it, because the problem of accepting this is that you need to take on that responsibility. Now all of a sudden you can't go around and be in a bad mood and say, well, I'm in a bad mood because they did this, or I'm in a bad mood because this is going to happen. All of a sudden it comes back to this place here. I can no longer blame and say, oh, it's their fault that I'm feeling like this. It's their fault. Like, you have to do something about this. And then that's why a lot of people have a hard time accepting something like this. Nicole, I have never thought of this. Such a good reminder. You cannot be in the now unless you're happy. Exactly. Because you wouldn't be here. Then you have to be pushing against the now. And I quite often talk about how all you really have to do is just be in a good mood. And I'm struggling sometimes with saying, like, what am I saying with that? Because if I say be happy, well, if you're happy, then like, yes, I won the race, I'm happy. If I say be content, well, that means you got something, so now you're content. It's difficult to find the word. I'm talking about the feeling that comes when there's peacefulness, in a sense, contentment. Yeah, contentment, because you're not wanting something other than what is. And you can just be. There's no feeling, oh, I need to do this, I need to get there. You can just relax. The self, it's kind of out of the way, and you're just experiencing now. And that is a beautiful way to experience life. It's just so far superior to how most people live their lives. You cannot even compare it. Everything is enjoyable. It's almost like it tastes enjoyable. And when you kind of drop into this, you feel like, wow, it's so nice to be here. Everything just feels nice. It's easy. There is not this constant pressure of me needing to take up space. I'm here and I'm having like a space in this. It doesn't register as being here or having any kind of space. Things are just happening. There's no resistance. It's like having the perspective of the universe, meaning that from the universe, I love astronomy and I've done astrophotography. I've looked at the stars since I was a kid, and I always enjoyed, since I think it was 6 or 7, I would go out in the backyard of my parents' garden and I'd borrow my father's camera and try to photograph the stars or the moon, or I borrowed his telescope and binoculars. Because whenever I went out and I looked at the stars and I looked up and like, wow, it just made me feel so peaceful, so calm, because I thought that light, some of that light is thousands of years old. If I look at a galaxy, like in the Andromeda galaxy, you can see with your naked eye, that's 1.8 or 2.2 million years old, that light. And the distance is just so unfathomable. It's just so big that it just blows your mind. Me here, you there, it makes no sense at all from the perspective of galaxies, of stars. It's just a solar system. And the universe, then we become completely insignificant. What happens here is just, well, it doesn't matter at all. And you can believe that there's millions or billions or trillions or uncountable amounts of planets that have life on them in the universe, where there are small people, small beings, small living things that do things, and we live, and they think they're very important as well. But when you have that perspective, all of a sudden, oh, well, you know, it's not that big of a deal, because from the larger perspective, it really doesn't matter. And that's similar to what happens when you start enjoying being here, when you start being in a good mood. All of a sudden, it's just, well, things are happening. And since you're actually here, you're not on another planet looking down here. No, you are here. Then you choose. What should you do? What do you want to do in this situation? I had this morning, I was drinking tea, and my son flipped over the glass with the cup, and all the water fell on the floor. And I could have been angry and upset, like, oh, this is annoying. And I definitely, before, I would have had that feeling, like, oh man, I just made that cup, just prepared it, and I would spill out. But then instead, something happened. What do I do? And then what happened? Like, oh, he accidentally knocked it over with his elbow. I'm like, oh, that's okay. Accidents happen. Next time we look a bit more carefully. And I always move the glass or cups into the center of the table. And then I dried it up and cleaned it. Whereas I could have reacted with me going in, oh, this is so unfair. Not again. Oh, my goodness. Children are so annoying. Oh, I can't believe they're doing this again. My life, why did I get these kids? They're just, oh, God. Yeah. And look what you did. See what you did now. Now you're making me worse. And I could be putting that on him. That's not going to be a nice upbringing for him. And imagine the insecurities and things he's going to get from me behaving that way towards him. So instead, focusing on how am I reacting towards this, rather than what is happening around me, will also bring you to this. And always having the focus on being in a good mood. Not pretending being in a good mood, meaning that, oh, something bad is happening. The cup fell down. I'm like, I'm in a good mood. Yeah, I'm really pissed about this, but I'm going to be in a good mood because Martin told me to. That's denial. Like, that's suppression. That's not what we're talking about. To do what I'm saying, you have to feel the feelings, the distortions that come from the cup falling on the floor. And and we don't want to feel that. So we feel that feeling, and then we say, I feel this uncomfortable feeling. I don't like that. What am I going to do? I'm going to lash out at someone. They did this. You did this. You're making me feel this. So we don't actually feel the feeling. But if you actually stay still and let that feeling come and realize that you don't have feelings. You are the feelings. Because the sense of you as in a separate entity is those feelings, are those feelings. You are contained within that distortion. That distortion, quite literally, is where you reside. So you are not having this happen to you. You are that thing happening, that distortion, that feeling. And when you see that, then you realize this is pointless. I don't need to resist this. I don't need to fight this feeling and act out of it. I can just feel it because it's me. You don't have to be afraid of it. It's you creating this. And I say that, and at the same time I say, don't overwhelm yourself, because for some people this can be really jarring, and it can be completely overwhelming if you went your entire life never looking at this. So don't take on more than you can, and be careful with it. I mean, the only thing that's going to happen is that you get overwhelmed, but don't take on too much and start blaming yourself like, oh my goodness, I'm doing this, I'm such a bad, now you're creating more. So just see, you are quite literally within that distortion. That is where you reside. Let's see. Stephen, basically life is all about working on your psychology. Depends on what you mean with psychology, Stephen. I wouldn't say psychology, I would say your distortions, working on your distortions or your feelings. If you, should we say, you know, I talk quite a lot about meditation and how important it is to practice meditation so that you can become more aware of what's happening to you. I think a lot of people mistake that for, especially if you go into Vipassana, they mistake that for you should be aware of the sensations in your body. But I want you to start separating something else. We have the sensations in the body, and then you have your distortions or your feelings or your emotions. They are different. They're not the same. If you look inside, you can feel that right now, if I would do Vipassana meditation, I would say that I have pain, soreness, pain. There's soreness in my eardrums. I can feel that. There's in my beehole, or what do you call it, sinuses. I can feel that they're inflamed and there's a bit of pressure here. I can feel tension, pressure, tension in my knees. That would be the sensations. You do those exercises to raise your awareness of being able to be aware of what's happening inside of you. But what I want you to be aware of, which is why I ask you to widen your awareness, is not necessarily the sensations, because it's very difficult to be aware of your sensations 24/7. I mean, except for when you're sleeping. But you can be aware of your distortions, of your mood throughout the day. So what I want you to do with what we're training here is not to become these super yogis who do concentration meditation and are so focused on all sensations coming up. I want you to develop emotional awareness, feeling awareness, mood awareness. I mean, I'm not sure if those are terms, but that would basically be what I'm trying to tell you to do, to be aware of your mood throughout the day. Because when you're able to, throughout the day, and this is not all that difficult compared to being aware of your sensations, that is much more tough. I mean, when I was in meditation centers and lived there, meditated from 3:30 in the morning to 11 o'clock at night. Yeah, sure. Then I was aware of my sensations pretty much 24, not 24, but like the 19 hours that I was awake. I was aware of my sensations in the body, but that kind of doesn't really lead anywhere. It just means that you're aware of everything. What you really want to be aware of is what is your mood. And then constantly be checking in on that and seeing, because if you start seeing that, then you start seeing like, hey, wait a minute, I'm in a bad mood, but nothing's happened. I just feel bad. And now I'm lashing out from this. You're going to start seeing all these interactions and play come into conditioning come into play. I saw someone looking like that, so now I have a feeling. I saw someone tell me this, now I have a feeling. I saw something on TV of some political party, and now I have a feeling of this, a distortion. And you start saying, wait a minute, I'm doing this the whole time. And when you're aware of this the whole day, then you can start saying, like, wait a minute, I am that distortion. That is where I reside. I am there. It's not that that is happening to me, that is me, quite literally. And you stop resisting it, and you can start focusing on being in a good mood. So you need to raise your emotional awareness. I need to figure, what do you guys like? Emotional awareness, feeling awareness, or mood awareness? Which one makes you understand this the best? Let's see. Stephen is saying, it's our distortions that want things in life to be happy, right? Yes, and your distortions, quite literally, is you. So it's you that want things in life to be happy. Because the distortions is not something that's there and this is you. No, you are those distortions. They are you. That's where the feeling of you comes from. As Vipassana is for psychologists, Zen is for poets, and Tibetan is for artists. That's beautiful. Nicole Bray, mood awareness. mood awareness. I'm trying to, if someone else has some thoughts on this, I just thought about that now. That should be what we should be working on, not having some kind of super sense where we can get into jhanas and like all these stages and states, because they're fun and they're really nice in other ways. But to do what we're talking about here, to actually overcome the sense of self, they're not really necessary. What you really need to do is be aware constantly throughout the day. What is your mood like? How are you feeling? What emotions are you feeling now? And when you start doing that, you don't need me. It will become quite obvious what to do. It's just the next thing that happens. And having the perspective of years instead of months or days or weeks or the rest of your life, I'm working on enjoying life, meaning right now. I'm working on being in a good mood, because how on earth can that be? Like, who can protest with working on being in a good mood? Well, people who have a strong sense of self, who think that you should be upset and angry about the things they're upset about, they're going to complain. As I think we need some sort of metric by which to gauge mood. I have no idea what my mood is or where to even look for it. That's an interesting concept or interesting thing. Do other people have the same thing? Metric by which to gauge mood. I have to think about that a little bit. I'll tell you how I see this. I'm trying to, because again, this is not an issue. I have a lot of things that simply are not an issue for me, but I can see how it absolutely can be an issue for someone else. And it's not because I'm so cool or so advanced. It just means that I've looked at this so much that it's just second nature to me. So what you're saying there is basically that like the mood of a painting can be enumerated by reference to space, color, etc. Yeah. I just think about it as distortions. I quite literally do that, and I do that for a few reasons. First of all, it saves a lot of trouble. If I say feelings or things that happen to me, then all of a sudden it would be this idea that it's something that is happening to me and it has to do with my life story, and I need to sort that out. I need to go to psychotherapy so that I can understand why I did this and why my father said this, my mother did this, and I was not loved, and all these things. Just takes up time, and that it can work for sure. I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm just saying I just go directly to the distortion, meaning the feeling that I have, and it's very, very, very clear to me what a distortion is, what it's like to not be here, not be non-centric. And that comes from having hundreds, if not thousands, of non-centric experiences where I just go out. Well, I have it all the time, so it would literally be thousands, some of them lasting a long time. Some, there's like a constant backflow of just being here. I don't have to do much for that. It's just quite easy. So when that peacefulness is disturbed by a distortion, it's very easy to say, wait a minute, this is not peaceful calmness, just being here. This is something interrupting. And it feels almost like a tension. I can see how my eyes go from seeing very clearly to it's almost like I'm fuzzy, like the Maya Indians call it the Maya. The fog that covered the world. That's quite literally what it feels like. So to do this, you kind of need to know what it's like to experience life non-centrically, to experience life without so much distortion. Then it becomes much easier, because then you know, okay, this is what it's like to walk around and not have so much distortion. And then it will be much clearer what are distortions. Now you could also do, like as I was saying, some kind of metric, meaning some kind of scale of being in a bad mood, good mood, like, because you can also see what I'm talking about is not being jubilous, is not being joyous because you won a race. That's something else. So it's something other than that. That's a really good question. I will have to think about that a bit more, and we can discuss it more, because that's a good point. Like, how do we actually view this? Let's see what else. How do we know? But how do we even know what mood we are in? Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Like, you need to know the baseline of what it's like to just be. And for many people, this would be when you're out walking in the forest and you're just outside and you're breathing and it's just nice to be there. You look at the sky and it's like a morning and there's dew on the trees and you go, oh, I feel so at peace. I don't need to do anything here. You're just there. Very quickly the mind is going to come in, oh, you need to go and do this, I need to take a photo. Or some people have it when they're out cycling, and it's just nice. Or you're working on repairing something, or building something, or you're making love to your partner. It can be, but it can also be a lot of distortions in that because you want to, but there can definitely be a non-centric experience. Or it can be when you're playing with your children, or when you're just cleaning up in the house. When you start to recognize the feeling of just being here, being in a good mood, it becomes a lot easier. And that's why I'm saying it's difficult for me to put a word to it, because whatever I say, it'll be wrong. Because you'll try to interpret that and make it into something it's not. I was thinking about this the other day when meditating. I had this preconception that if I am distracted by a memory, it is like a short film clip of something that happened to me once. Whereas it... Sorry, my voice is coming out. Yeah, we're going to start meditating soon. It isn't like that at all. The same as being distracted by a thought. I always assume that thoughts arose as lines of script, containing a sentence of information, whereas they aren't like that at all. It appears to me, Martin, that you equate clarity with positive mood, so maybe it is easiest to just go for a gauge of clarity. Being in a positive mood gives clarity. And yes, I equate them because if really astute, Azrael, or good. So the way it works is this: when you're having distortions, it quite literally feels like you're buzzy-eyed. When I started having these things to begin with, I was like, what the? Do I not need my glasses anymore? Because I just see so clearly all of a sudden. A common sign for me is that I would look at trees. It would often come after I'd had a meditation, and I'd go to meditate, and I went out like, wow, it's so beautiful here. And I would look at trees, and the bark of trees would be so beautiful. Instead of just seeing, like a piece of bark, I would see the whole pattern of the tree, because your vision goes from seeing like this to seeing wide. You're aware of the whole field of view. So when you're having no distortion, when you're in a good mood, you will notice that you're just more aware of things happening around you. Otherwise, it's almost like a headache, and you're thinking about the past and about the future, and that's creating a pressure in your mind, squeezing your mind like this, and you're trying to look what's happening now, but it's pulling you into the past, or it's pulling you into this squeezing. And then all of a sudden, we're in a good mood, that headache goes away, and you're all of a sudden just seeing things. Oh, they're really here. So yes, you're absolutely right. Being in a good mood, what I'm talking about, means that you also see more clearly. It means that you feel more clearly. It means that touch is more there. It means that smells are more fragrant. I remember I was with my fiancé in the Netherlands, and I was really non-centric. And we were walking in town, and there was a woman walking by. I'm like, oh my goodness, did you smell her perfume? That's amazing. And I was just looking at things and pointing at things. And there's no shame, right or wrong, like does someone get, look, because I'm just appreciating and really enjoying being alive. And she was kind of laughing because she's used to me going up and down with things like that. Hey, JVB, let's see what you're saying. I think a constant meditation practice will help you reach and better understand that state of non-centric experience you're talking about. Martin, I guess that's why we tune into your live stream. I hope so. And I really appreciate that you're asking questions like this. And also like Azrael, who is really taking what I say, and then, you equate this. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Because for me, it's just so obvious. I never think about this. It's just, of course it is. But I have to say, do I really mean that? Or do I just describe that? Why am I saying that? Because yes, when you're non-centric, reality is much clearer. And that's why when you're in a good mood and you appreciate, you're really feeling good, you start appreciating, then the senses will come. Instead of being stuck in this headache that just pulls you into the past or the future, you'll become more, you're more here. You appreciate your surrounding. And another thing that I also say quite often is that how you interact with other people has a lot to do with it. Don't be angry at others. Might be the best way that I could describe it. Do the, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love me. In other words, don't have distortion towards other people. Even if you think they suck, even if they do shitty things, look at your distortion towards them. Because anger is a very strong distortion. And we equate, someone did something bad to me, I need to be angry, that's my defense. No, you don't. I'm not saying accept what they did. I'm not saying, oh, go and love them, I love you, I accept you. But no, none of that bullshit. They did something really bad that you don't agree with. But you can work on feeling good despite what they did, and then you can choose what to do. If you stop feeling that distortion towards them, maybe you say, oh, you know what? They actually have a good point. I was doing something that could be interpreted this way. Or you might see that, oh, wait a minute, the solution to this would be that we do it this way, because you no longer have yourself invested in that needs to be right, that needs to win. Or you might say, yeah, they're actually assholes and they did something completely unreasonable. I mean, that's also an option. Doesn't mean that they're going to be right. I'm just saying you take away the distortion towards it. So not being angry at others, not having so careful with what I'm saying, like if I say kindness towards others or goodwill, like all of that stuff, because that brings other things in. But just focus on not being angry at other people. So if you focus on having mood awareness or feeling awareness, emotional awareness throughout the whole day, and focusing on being in a good mood while you're appreciating the things around you right now. Not that, oh, this is mine. No, really appreciating how nice it is to touch things, how nice it is to see, hear, smell, feel things. And at the same time, focus on don't being angry with people. That would be an amazing practice. Those three things. Just do that. Then there's other parts to it, of course, but those are basically, the more I've discussed here, the more I've done, like that's more or less what I do. And I allow myself to get angry. I allow myself to get upset because I am the anger. It's not that someone else is giving me anger, and I need to accept and feel the anger for it to go away. Otherwise, I'm just suppressing it and it's going to come up again. So really, it's about being completely naked and completely open to being you and seeing that it's just an illusion. Because when you let that come up and when you feel it and you say, oh, wait a minute, I am that. It's not, I am here and it's happening. No, I am this. It just disappears and there's nothing there. And then you will be in a good mood. And all of a sudden you might get that feeling of non-centricness where everything is just, wow, how could I not have seen this before? Nice. I think my voice is just about to give up. So today is, I have a little bit of honey here. I'm going to try to get out. Today is Thursday. So we have box breathing today, which is an amazing technique for calming down the mind and your distortions in general. What we do is we breathe in. For this particular one, I'll be using an app, so we'll be breathing in on 4, holding our breath for 4, breathing out for 4, and then holding our breath for 4, breathing in for 4, holding our breath for 4, breathing out for 4, holding our breath for 4. And if you have one of those chest straps like I have, and you can see your HRV, like the state of how able your body is with handling stress, that just shoots up when you do this. I'll actually do that. Maybe I'll do that next time. I'll bring it and you can see my HRV. That would be pretty cool, actually. Can I do that? I'm not sure if I can show. I'll see what I can do. It's called tactical breathing. There is some other name for it because it's commonly practiced by firefighters and police officers or military as a way of just calming down in a tough situation. Chibi, I know it's kind of hard to articulate, but I get it. Nice. I'm happy to hear that. And these streams are really helpful for me because in explaining it, I understand it better as well. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's true. I should be doing more of this. Yeah. So, let's see. I'm going to find the app and we'll be sitting for, I have it for 7 minutes. Let's do it 10 minutes. So, I have 10 minutes of the box breathing and then we have 10 minutes of just normal sitting. And then you can hear it. So, I'll basically be in the beginning, I'll say like in, hold, out, hold, in, hold, so you can follow along. And then I'll stop and you can just listen to the sound. So, let's see. I will say the breathing they're doing in the beginning, and then you can continue by yourself. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Thank you for a really nice sitting, as always. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope the box breathing is working for you as well. Enjoy your weekend and try to train your emotional awareness or your mood awareness, and just start being aware of it. And you'll see all of what we're talking about quite naturally. Good evening, have a nice weekend, and I'll see you back on Monday again. Thank you.